I just turned 50. Thank you. And turning 50 sucks, okay? Unless you're her, then it's fantastic. I'm just kidding. No, but the thing about, one of the things about turning 50, first of all, you're going through all of this emotional stuff, and as if it's not bad enough already, then you have the AARP. They come after you, and it's the weirdest thing. They start coming at you like right before your 50th birthday. They know when it is. And I don't know how many 50-year-olds are retired. It's like crazy. But they have the most aggressive marketing tactics. It's unbelievable. It's like the Crips and the Bloods are trying to recruit me to them. They're like, yo, you 50, homie. You one of us now, bitch. Like syphilis, bitch, you stuck with this. I'm like, oh my God, they keep coming after me. But the fascinating thing is like, they're the last marketer to use snail mail. I guess that's like their primary thing. They probably figure I'm too old to be using email at this point. But they come after you all the time, and like I keep getting the same mail over and over again. And at first I saw it was like this black, man pursey kind of tote bag with like a long strap. And I'm like, who on earth would ever use this product? It's unbelievable. But then by like the 78th mailing, I'm thinking to myself, like, that could be really good for my puzzle and my reading glasses. They're working away at me. No, but it's funny. They're probably smart. They're using snail mail instead of technology. Technology isn't something we really grew up with. I think like when I was in college, they first had computer science, and now for the older people, listen, we're always going to play catch up. I'm never going to be like a teenager with it. But honest to God, it's like, I actually think I'm pretty good. I can navigate my way through most of the apps. I do a million things on it, but honest to God, if you want to throw a wrench into my day, let me use the same app for 6 months in a row, and then ask me for my password. I swear to God, I turn into a stroke victim. No offense. But I turned into a stroke victim. I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea what my password is. I think it's got my name in it. I think there's some numbers. I think I got hit by a car and I'm trying to remember the license plate for the cops. I have no idea. And you can't ask your kids for help. I've got 3 teenage sons. You can ask them for help because when you ask your kids and they're teenagers, when you ask kids for help with technology, the nicest kids in the world turn into the biggest assholes. I'm having trouble logging onto this thing. Could you show me? And they rip it out of your hands. They're like, what did your parents die of? Embarrassment? And they just like don't do the whole thing. And they whip it back to you. You never know what the hell they did. It's unbelievable. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to live the rest of my life not knowing how to do that. But it's funny, the technology piece, it's like, my parents didn't have this issue. The only technology my parents had was the telephone, okay? And we had unlike Randy's an only child, I have 10 siblings. Yes, the good Lord has blessed me with 5 brothers and 5 sisters. I grew up in a small house. There were 13 of us. It was a generation ago. We had one phone in the house. Okay, we had one telephone in the entire house, and it was a yellow phone in the kitchen. And it had like a 60-foot cord that my mother would like pull all through the house. It didn't matter what. She could go through like 8 different rooms. It didn't matter. It was always like stretching. It was completely uncurled. And the thing was, we had one phone, so you had to wait your turn for the phone. And my mother never got off the phone. Like, she could be on the phone for hours. She could just be talking about everything. And she's pulling all of the shit in her wake with the cord. It's like a tsunami, She's pulling newspapers, coffee cups, Filipinos. It's just like anything in her path, she's just going to take with her. And then I remember, like, my mother used to hang up the phone. I'd be like, oh my God, who is that, your biographer? My mother would hang up the phone and she would say to her friend, I'll see you tomorrow morning. I was like, great. And I'm just like, ways to make one phone call. I have like a quick homework question. But it's funny, the technology piece, going back to the passwords, it's it's a little bit challenging, and especially, it makes it so frustrating, since I know my identity is going to be stolen, the next time I go purchase a pair of Kirkland boxer briefs, Okay? I don't know if you've been following news. Like once a week, Costco, Target, whatever, like the North Koreans hack it, they steal the identities of like 67 million people. I'm like, why am I even bothering with this password thing? It's crazy. But identity theft, you know, it's not a new idea, but I'm gonna walk over here and get my water. It's not a new idea. My late mother worried about identity theft all the time. I remember I would go down and visit her, and I'd walk into her living room, and she'd be sitting there just surrounded by stacks of newspapers and scissors. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm cutting off my address off of these magazines. I don't want my identity stolen. I was like, you're 78 years old on a fixed income, you're flat broke. You should be honored if someone wants to steal your identity. This could be like the greatest thing that ever happened to you. I swear, and I don't know where she always had magazines, and she never got rid of them. It was the craziest thing. They were just always everywhere. It's like you needed a Women's Wear Daily from March 1971. She got it. She was like the library. I was like, what are you worried that like, the library's going to burn down and take the microfiche with it? Thank you, 3 people who understood what microfiche was. I appreciate it. Well, my mother, she wasn't exactly a hoarder, but she would she would hang on to a lot of shit. Like I remember, I used to hate going into the front hall closet at her apartment because she'd be like, Paul, can you go in the front hall closet and get my Christmas ornaments? I'm like, okay, whatever. And I would open it up and like this tower of shit would just like knock me over. And it was everything. It was like Bambergers, circulars. I was like, how old is this stuff? She kept everything. It was the craziest thing. And I remember I got the Christmas ornaments, and my mother goes, oh, good, you found them. Where were they? I go, they were right next to the Lindbergh baby. Where do you think they were? She kept everything. And she had 11 kids. I'm like, oh, why would you keep this stuff? Report cards. We were stupid. You don't want to keep this stuff. There are D's on this. It's not a good thing. Let me put it in my scrapbook. It was unbelievable. Now, my mother was quite the character, but by the time I was a teenager, my parents were so exhausted. I was the 8th kid in my family. They didn't know where the fuck I was, ever. I'm not kidding. I would grab my Visine and my certs, and I was on my merry way. See you soon. And they're like, who was that walked out? Was that Michael or Leo? No idea. And I'd come back, I was in high school. I kind of came back whenever I felt like it. And I remember on a school night, I was like a sophomore in high school. I would walk in at 12:30, and I'd look at my parents and be like, hey, sorry, I'm late. And my father would look at my mother like, who the fuck is this asshole? Hey, no clue. My mother's like, I think it's John or something like that. But the one thing, my parents didn't have a lot of rules, but I will tell you, one of her rules, which I'm still terrified to break, is no tattoos. No tattoos. And I used to think like tattoos were a bad thing. I actually think they're kind of cool right now. I myself couldn't get one. I'm too much of a wuss. But but it amazes me, like all of a sudden everyone has tattoos. Everybody. I go to hot yoga, people are doing that, practically naked, including the lady who claims to not know about the Lululemon recall. We're on to her. I'm in this yoga pose one day, and I remember, I kind of turn sideways, and I look, and the guy next to me has all I see is this giant black box across his back, and it was kind of dark in the room. And then when we were walking out of the classroom, I go, Justin? And he said, yeah. I go, is that the Last Supper depicted on your back? It was. It was the Last Supper. And he goes, yeah. And I said, they served rigatoni at the Last Supper? It was like the most detailed thing. I thought maybe it was the first time someone ever said, Jesus Christ, who ate all the chicken parmesan? It was unbelievable. And he's got he's got the Last Supper. He's got Mother Teresa on his bicep, and then he's got this whole rosary thing. I'm like, this is for the rest of your life. When you die, this is going to go with you. It's like I can just see St. Peter right now. Hold on a minute, Justin. get God, Mary, Joseph, and Joan Rivers down here. You're not gonna fucking believe this one. The shit people will do to get into heaven. It's unreal. No, but I don't know. I mean, part of the reason I would never get a tattoo, first of all, I'm terrified. I think it looks like a really painful thing. But also, I wouldn't know what to get. People are getting them younger and younger. And, it's like, if I got a tattoo when I was younger, I would have like Lenny and Squiggy, like right here, right now. Hey everybody, I'm here to pick up my kids. You like Lenny and Squiggy? So, and my favorite are the babies. I remember David Wells had like a giant baby, tattoo on his arm. Like, I don't know, like, why would you pick like that moment in your child's life? Like, they're not gonna look like that ever again. I told my kids all the time, I don't want my kids to get tattoos. I'm like, you get tattoos, I'm finding your worst middle school photo, and I'm having that tattooed right on my chest. Have you seen my son, Charlie? I was like, my father he had 11 kids. He couldn't get tattoos of all of us. Where the hell would he put everything? Really sorry, Richard. Hate to break it to you. But, no, we got a big, crazy family. It's, it's all good, and we're Irish, so it's, we have a good time. But my late mother, God bless her, she was so distracted by having so many kids. She thought about things all the time, and she was so distracted all the time. I remember she just didn't, just things fell through the cracks all the time. When my grandmother was dying, I said, Mom, do you need any help with the arrangements? She said, no. I called Father Vinny, he's going to do the mass. I called the funeral parlor. I got the cemetery all squared away. I just need to get her address. I'm like, what do you mean you got to get her address? She's like, she's been in a nursing home for 8 years. I can't bury her in a house coat. I was like, okay. So my mother goes and gets her address. Then my grandmother passes away. We're at the funeral parlor. We're Irish, so we're having a great time at the funeral parlor. My sister walks in, and she's like, Paul, come with me to the casket. And Dad was like, okay. So we go to the casket, and we're kneeling, and we're praying, and we're like, oh, dear God, please forgive Grandma and those really horribly racist things she said 7 days a week. She didn't mean it. She was a good woman. And I remember we're kneeling in front of the coffin, and my sister looks down, and she goes, oh, my God, that's my dress. And I said, wait a minute, Mom gave you, Grandma, your dress? And she goes, no, that's my dress. And I look at my grandmother and my sister are wearing the same exact dress. And I said, well, at least Grandma had the decency to not pair it with hoop earrings. Come on, a little decorum here. No, and I just remember I looked at Teresa, I go, this kind of happened to Lucy and Ethel, sort of, what do you do in this situation? I said, who's going to change? And she looked at me and she goes, this is the only dress I have. I have to wear this again tomorrow. So it's just awful. But, and I said to her, I go, well, why did you shop at the same place as Grandma? She goes, no. She goes, Mom bought that dress for Grandma last week. She bought the same dress for me 7 weeks ago, but didn't remember buying it. She gave it to me for Christmas. Listen, you guys make me feel like it's Christmas in July. You're awesome. Thank you so much for coming. We've got a great show coming up. Thank you.